Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Won't thou come, won't thou come? Just this once come to me. Will my days fly away without seeing you, my Lord? Night and day, I searched for thee night and day. Door of my heart, open wide I keep for thee. Om. It's a stirring invocation by Yogananda, Paramahamsa Yogananda. Invocation means invitation. Come. Come, come. So, welcome to Satsang. Bhajan Kutir Candler. It's so charming here. You have to drive through a creek to get to the property. There's a porch with rocking chairs and a fireplace. Very cozy. Okay. Who will come? Daniel.
It's not exactly a question. It's maybe to share a little bit what's something important that's happening, and then in that context, ask what wisdom you could share regarding this. My partner and I, my partner of years and I, we are separate. Like about a month or so ago, a month and a half, maybe more, I don't know. A month and a half, maybe, I think. A month and a half. A month, I don't know. Finally, we, in a definitive way, we reached the conclusion that as it is right now, we are not able to align our senses of purpose, where we are moving, where we are going. So we decided to separate. But we love each other dearly, deeply. We really developed a very, very deep connection for many reasons, but we did. And we decided also to end the relationship in the most loving way we could find. And for this purpose, we stayed together until now. We've been together after we decided to separate. We continue to be together until tomorrow. Tomorrow we take separate ways. And it's been just so, how to call it, like life-checking, I don't know, very emotional. Especially the last 7 or 10 days, maybe, has been an emotional roller coaster. Pretty much every day there is something that put us upside down or shakes us against the walls, and it's a lot. And it, for example, makes me question for once, what it would be, commitment maybe, or the what feels like a sacrifice, or I don't know. But this is this is what I wanted to share. This is what's happening, and I think you know a little bit. We've talked, but I wanted to ask, what uh, what what could you share in this context, or how would you maybe frame it, or I don't know.
Mm.
Thank you.
Do you, is there some question that's, I mean, certainly we can explore together, but is there some question that,
I don't think there is like a clear question, because one of the things that becomes very clear is that there is really nothing to do. Everything is well. Like, it's just that things don't match, but that's also okay. It also just so happens that it doesn't feel so nice. But I don't even think I would be asking for practical advice. I don't really know what I don't have a question. It's just I would like to see things in a, like, to have a certain, let's say, frame of reference that would make it more senseful. More senseful, yes. I don't know, but I don't know.
yes, no, I understand. It's good. Thank you, Daniel.
Of course.
So, so separating in this way that you are endeavoring to, at least, and succeeding in some moments more than others, I imagine, to do it, people might say, consciously or responsively, with some degree of emotional maturity, sobriety. This is an expression of love, of connection, that doesn't need to turn into judgment, hatred. And in this, the normal course, or the common course, is to turn toward resentments, to really illuminate the problems in one's own self and illuminate the problems in others, to focus on those things, to focus on the suffering. But here, in this more mature, responsive, uncoupling, I think people call it this now. I like it. You'll be able to witness all that is in you, all that is in you that brought you into the relationship, all that was in you and processed, forgiven, and clung to during the relationship. And you'll see all of that now in this process of a loving detachment. So you will be revealed to yourself in a way that wouldn't be possible in the posture of judgment and resentment, of blaming yourself, blaming her, like this. So this is already very good. It is said in the relative that the love that can turn to hate was never love, was never once love, may have been called that, may have even been experienced as that naively in a state of confusion, but was never that. Anything that can be hate was never love in the relative. Only recently we explored that even hate is of love, but this is not what I'm talking about now. It's also true, but it's a different dimension, a different octave of consciousness. And here I think it makes sense for us to focus on relationship, person to person, personality to personality. And in this way, the love that can turn to hatred was never love. So it's good, I mean, to have two people that are committed in striving deeper into their emotional maturity to uncouple in a way that's loving. And she tending to you and caring for you in your injury while this uncoupling has been happening is a testament, not just to her, but to you for having chosen so well. Somebody who's capable of doing this, of separating and still caring for you in your need, physically, and both of you emotionally, of course. So, so much of you will be revealed to yourself in this process. The grief that you experience and the sadness is sacred and important, and also know that it is an expression of the gratitude that you have for what was. We never grieve a thing that goes away that we didn't adore. And so you were in and are in this state of adoration for another, in romantic love, that is cause for gratitude. And so know this, that your grief, it shouldn't be suppressed or rejected. You experience it fully because it also is gratitude. Gratitude to her for partnering with you, gratitude for you, for your own self, for partnering so well with another. Gratitude to world and God for allowing the opportunity to arise. Gratitude for allowing the opportunity to crest and fall. And it's very likely we, in relationship with ourselves, with the world, romantically with other, partnering, coupling, it goes through seasons. And so it arises through seasons, it sustains through seasons, and it dissolves through seasons. Creation, sustaining, maintaining, dissolving. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And so it's likely to go through 4 seasons, this process, internal, of separating, detaching. So I say this to invite you to not try and heal too quickly, to allow it to take its course, because as you travel with the sadness and the grief and the prospect of the unknown, both the gratitude and the grief of then and now, that you allow this to reveal itself, reveal your own self to yourself over the course of a year. And that it will be with you, very likely will be with you this long, as a gift. And to not try and heal or forgive too quickly, but just to allow yourself to be as you are in it in every moment through the coming seasons. The summer, the autumn, the winter, and the spring to come. And know that at this point next year, you will not be the same one who's sitting with us here today. And if you approach this opportunity of the year to come in relation to this relationship, the decoupling, uncoupling, then you will be freer and emptier. Let's just explore, just not too deeply, but just explore this process. That all relationships are karmic. This was the perfect relationship for you, for this set of experiences that were predetermined for your karma, for you to experience in this lifetime. And it will be subtler and subtler echoes of past relationships. So the grief that you're experiencing in relationship to the separation is tied to your memories of the past few years of being in relationship with her, is tied to deeper in your system to your experiences in this lifetime, past partners, relationship with mother and father and nuclear family, all wrapped into this partnership. Those things, tendrils now down further and further into past lives, you could say it this way. So really linked to the arc of the journey of your soul. And that's why this process is so sacred, is because there are tendrils. It's like root balls of experience. And so you have the relationship that's tied into through the heart, and then another root ball in the heart, and then another root ball in the gut, and another root, right? Sacral, and then and these karmic threads, root ball to tendrils to root ball to tendrils to root ball, will bring you right to the beginning of you. Can do. And if you're gentle with it, and you tug at it lovingly and gently, not wanting to break any of the tendrils, but to uproot it all the same, this can be a process of freeing yourself of karmic entanglement, of karmic conditioning, of suffering itself. And that every relationship is karmic. Every relationship has this opportunity encoded in it. The DNA of your relationship is for the process of coming to freedom. I think we can say it this way. But just like, if anybody's ever done any gardening, just like pulling up weeds, you can pull it up and just take the top part and then it will grow back, right? Or you can gently, gently play with it. Pull it up slowly, slowly, trying not to break any of the tendrils so that you remove it in its entirety. Why do we remove weeds from a garden? Also, if you're a gardener, you know that dry, hardened soil it's much more difficult to pull up the root ball, isn't it? But soil that's soft and wet, that's received the rain, so much easier. So this points to your own sense of softness as you process. So this suffering, this grief and sadness, and the fear of what's next, these things are not new because of the end of the relationship. They're the very reason, we could say it this way, that you entered the relationship to begin with, was to expose these limitations, these karmic limitations of your conscious awareness. And so this year ahead will be sacred for you. One way of looking at it that's very real in the relative is that your suffering was the perfect match for her suffering, in order for the two of you to work together to be free, to help free her and her to help free you, to use her as a mirror to free yourself and a portal through which to release your suffering and to be in relationship, for you, for example, with Divine Feminine, or just God. And so this suffering, attracted to suffering, is passion. It's sacred. Passion is sacred. And the proper understanding of it is, this is my karma attracted to her karma, and hers attracted to mine, makes it perfect. You for her and her for you, for this. Very few people understand this, that this is what is falling in love. It's an invitation into healing, into freedom, into forgiveness, into healing, and into freedom. This is the purpose of relationship. But what we get wrong is that they become the object. They're the ones that she will make me happy. I will make her happy. So they become the object of desire and not a mirror of past desire. They become the object of relationship and not the portal through which you travel. Through which you travel to come to know the divine that animates her. That through the portal of other in relationship, you come to know the divine, and then you'll come to know it's the same divine that animates you. Same. It's good to know, and then to test it out in your own experience, isn't it? Relationship is mirror. Relationship is portal. Relationship has never once been object. The whole world is in suffering, in lust, objectifying, not just sexual lust, not that, but not just sexual lust, but objectifying other, and in so doing, objectifying our own selves. Relationship, falling in love, it is a karmic, a magnetic attraction to forgiveness, healing, and freedom. Proper understanding of this makes relationship a very powerful sadhana. A marriage rooted in this understanding, each one committed completely to the upliftment of the other, becomes a mutual upliftment. A compact to freedom and a commitment. Not understanding this, we are bound to simply repeat the same patterns over and over and over and over. In this lifetime, over and over again, attempting to learn the same lesson, to forgive the same misunderstanding. Over and over again. Then through relationship, having forgiven, having healed, being proportionally more free, It opens the door to a deeper relationship with God, first and foremost, and also brings you into a different dimension, a different karmic dimension, where if you choose to, the next relationship will do the same, but at a higher octave. And ideally, the same thing will happen for her. For the most part, the world doesn't really understand the purpose of relationship. And we are busy objectifying the other as the source of happiness, or the source of the one who will fulfill some desire. Even if that desire is to just not feel so lonely. But certainly if it's some, financial arrangement or sexual arrangement, or, but even if it's to quell some sense of loneliness, then we put the burden on the other to fulfill that in ourselves, to not feel lonely. But you see, it can never work. Because as the object, there's no power, there's no juice in it at all. Tapped into something dry. And so the experience of that will be more loneliness in connection. Which is worse, feeling lonely alone or feeling lonely in partnership? So even that most subtle desire to not be alone, who will be for me? It can't work. You have to be for them. And then, and so objects of desire, it's not just a sexual lust or some sense of financial security in a partner, some sense of physical security in a partner, or maybe some sense of social, reputational security, marrying up. It can never work. It can never work. So honestly, my, for whatever it's worth, my respect to you for even wanting to separate in this way. Let it be difficult. Feel all that you'll feel. And forgive and heal and be free. All relationships are designed to bring you closer to God. Recently we talked about you'll see it, the whole world, all of the heavens are conspiring through the mundane to lead you to freedom. And even the ones that you call enemy or demons even make it uncomfortable for you to remain in a dimension where you really should be ascending. So all manner of challenge and conflict, what you would call enemy or even demon, these ones are for you to help inspire you to go higher. Don't get too comfortable in this realm, so much more is available to you. And the ones that you might call friends or angels, the ones that are really, truly for you, which is also kind of rare, but does exist, doesn't it? And those ones are there to guide you, to draw you, invite you into the higher dimensions of consciousness, your own direct experience. Same earth, but a world more elevated than the one that you thought you were occupying. It's okay? Something more? Really, also take comfort in this truth that the whole thing, all of the things, all of the suffering even, is swaddled in love. The divine, all-encompassing, ubiquitous, undifferentiated love. That the whole thing is a custom-tailored, a bespoke experience to bring you from where you think you are to who you actually are. And when you look for the cues, the patterns of this in your experience, then more and more you can begin to trust it. Experientially. Probably if you did a review of your own sense of suffering and challenges and conflicts, overcome or not, you can see how they brought you to something greater. It was for you. We also have the experience of having difficulty and being wound up in resentment and self-pity. It's okay. No problem. Resentment and self-pity and blame. These are the signals to you that it's time to let go. And Swami Sivananda, all the yogic sages would say, you've had so many partners. You've had so many partners. You've had so many children with those partners in so many lifetimes. You've had so many parents. Is it time for you now to find the beloved? To find the beloved that's animated every lover you've ever known? The same one that's animated every lover you've ever known. The one you'll find right here. In the door of the heart. Through the door of the heart. Open wide I keep for thee. This is the great lover. And to know the love of the great lover is to know you have never experienced anything like it before. Nothing compares. Nothing compares. And this is it, Daniel, this is it. Each one of you in your relationships, whatever they are, this is it. This is the way through. It's the portal, the mirror and the portal. Won't you come through? Okay. Something more from anyone? Yana.
I had an interesting experience a couple months ago. My husband and I were walking our dog through a park, and I was thinking about this progression of I am nothing to I am everything to the equanimous love that comes with I am everything. And as I started to feel into that and feel that expansiveness, the thought came, I looked up ahead and I saw my husband walking our dog, and I looked at him and I thought, but I'll still love him special. And right in that moment, I tripped over this really sharp stump of a tiny tree. And as soon as that happened, I thought, oh my God, how cool. What instant feedback that this will trip me up. And so I was wondering if you could speak to this juxtaposition of being in a relationship while moving into equanimous love.
Well, let's just first start with there is, even in the equanimous, detached state of ubiquitous, eternal love, there still are roles to be played. That by proximity, there is something that you could call specialness. But it's simultaneous. And the way it's experienced is that in every single moment, whoever you're with, they're your absolute favorite and have always been your favorite. And then you're with somebody else and they're your absolute favorite and they've always been your favorite. Every moment is the best moment of your life. And how can that be? But so it's not like specialness is rejected. It's just that simultaneously nothing is special and every last thing is so very special. It sounds, like poetry maybe, or some, nonsense. I admit it doesn't really make any sense. And so maybe in a way it is nonsense. But it's experiential. And I will tell you that knowing the contrast, this is infinitely more sane than the other way. You see? Because to be fully identified in the specialness, and the special relationship between parent and child, the parent will do anything for the child. Will do beautiful things and could do horrible things in the world in the name of love for child. steal and kill even. Isn't it? And in that realm, this could even be called heroism. What a thing. Think of it. I mean, it's not so uncommon. Think of the things that so many parents, that I did as a parent, in business, in the world, transacting, in order to provide advantage for our children. But you see, this kind of special love immediately postures against a special kind of not love. So, in order for one to be special and identified in it, the other has to be not special. And coming to the defense of one that you call special means coming to offense to somebody who threatens them, isn't it? Well, this is the world. And this is the love of the world. And no need for you, as I always say, no need for you to fix the world. Leave the world to the world. But see it in yourself. Allow the root of a tree to trip you up and show you. But you see, beyond attachment to identified in an attachment to special relationships, a sense of speciality expands, actually blossoms from this, that's more special than the special that you're protecting, that we protect before. I have children, and so I know both sides of this. And I know that in loving detachment, my love is far greater than it was when it was attached. And felt that way also, to the degree that it can be by each one. But in truth, all of these relationships, first and foremost, they belong to God. First and foremost, you belong to God. Before you belong to anyone, you belong to God. Who do you belong to? Who do they belong to? There really is in this world no such thing as me and mine. Doesn't exist. It's only a sort of a play, an illusion, a mirage of the egoic sense of propriety. Nothing has ever once belonged to the you that you think you are. The whole thing belongs to this. Well, I call it God. Call it what you like. Universe, isness. You give yourself to your husband in this way, in a sacred and divine marriage. You're giving yourself to God through him. And then the special marriage is the one where you live to, we've been saying this recently here, to give, love, serve. To give yourself to him, to love him, to serve him, and he you. And it has to be reciprocated. But the one who seeks to receive rather than give, the one who seeks to be loved rather than love, the one who seeks to be served rather than to serve, this is called suffering. It's how the whole world is. So there's very little guidance for us to find to be rightly related in the world. Because everybody is, it's how it is. Everybody's seeking to get mine and for mine, my family. When you are in the habit, the newly acquired habit through practice of giving, loving, and serving, the entirety of the all will be obligated to bring to you what you need. It is just a matter of fact. And to you, in the experience of this, is a matter of time also, that the waves of generosity, of love, of service that you send out, it's called karma yoga, to the world. You can't see the shore on which the waves come back at you, but they will come back in time, in their own time, and they will be multiplied. And when you come into the posture of give, love, serve, and do it without any expectation of recompense, the waves of give, love, serve that come back to you, you'll be amazed. And also, it doesn't usually come back through the one that you gave it to. It can come back through another, or directly. Can enter right through the crown of your head. That's not bad. There was one woman, she shared with a group of us at one point, and she said, in a moment, in a group, and like a satsang kind of a sangha type of experience, she came into a direct experience of the oneness. She was looking around saying, I'm you, I love you. I'm you, I love you. Like this. And just sort of, expanding, each love, growing the love. And then she saw somebody, there was a hint of some past conflict, and she said, and boom, she was ejected by her own self, by her own judgment, ejected from the oneness, from the experience of the oneness. So even the slightest hint of special love means judgment, doesn't it? And this judgment is the judgment itself. It's your own judgment. You become the victor. But it will feel like you have been deported. But no, it's just our own judgment. And it will happen over and over, so get used to it. It's no big deal. It's going to happen. You're going to experience special kind of love. But where it emerges, when these rivers of special love come into the ocean, there's a sense of every moment is the best moment, and every interaction is with the favorite one. And it's not just a poetry. I once myself, if I can share, I was in Nicaragua, and well, let me just today do the short version. Maybe another time I can share more, but I was alone and I was on a secluded beach. And somehow, just kind of naturally, I fell into this experience of oneness, oneness with sky and beach and ocean. And it was a blissful, elevated state. Nothing to do. But still, you know, active in the senses and an appreciation, a deep humility and gratitude. And a thought came in. We should, on Earth, we should have a continent dedicated to people like me who appreciate the oneness. And then we'll have the other continents dedicated to other people, and we'll go visit them out of our kindness and goodness. And then it raced in the thought that this is what Earth was, the colony for the ones still suffering. I'm not saying it is, please understand me. It was just a thought like the other thoughts. You know, they have no bearing except for in the relative, the sort of metaphorical landscape of my own sense of oneness and judgment, of connectedness and separation. And in that moment, I became the prisoner in some penal colony. And I didn't yet see that it was my own judgment, my own sense of wanting to cultivate something special, some separation, some sense of ownership of the oneness. And I was ejected. And what was a heaven became instantly a hell. And then maybe 20 minutes, an hour later, I reflected. I was so happy. And now I'm so miserable. What's the difference? And I saw it. It was a single judgment. It was a single exclusion. And I saw it so clearly, it was a hair's breadth, like not even a full degree in 360 degrees of awareness. It was a hair's breadth of just the tiniest shift between heaven and hell. And it was a single judgment. And it seemed so innocuous, but it wasn't. Not this damns us. This isn't morality. This is just the science of happiness. This is just the science of love, of joy. Joy is the absence of judgment. And even in this realm, this dimension of non-judgment, there still can be discernment and preference. There still can be special relationships played out. But it's almost like they're simultaneous. You see, in one level, it just is. And you are is the same as it is. And simultaneous to that, there is an appearance, an expression. of a role or a series of roles being played. But it's so much more of a leela than it is a samsara. So much more of a play and a dance than it is a struggle. So I love that for you, trees will come and trip you. Don't they call the trees that can move ents in, what's the ents? Isn't that what they call them? Yeah, from, what's it called? Lord of the Rings, yeah. Yeah, the world is much more magical than we know. And our lives are much more metaphorical than we can appreciate. Most importantly, give, love, serve. This is the proper way to be in marriage. The marriage itself will shift quickly. You might even, I'm not talking about your marriage now, but in marriage in general, you might even demonstrate to your partner how to be in joy, to give, love, serve. This is it's a bhajan that was created by Swami Sivananda. It says, give, love, serve, purify, meditate, realize. Be good, do good, be kind, be compassionate. It's like a kindergarten song for adults. Yeah. Isn't there a book, Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten? I think it's a book. Give, love, serve. You know, it's like the prayer of St. Francis. Selfishness, self-centeredness, in this egoic way, is the cause of all of our suffering. And so give, love, serve is the antidote. It's the remedy. This isn't the give, love, serve that is codependent and transactional. This doesn't mean, continue to, well, depending on where you are on your journey. It doesn't mean to needlessly suffer abuse. Right? But then there also is an intersection where each one recognizes that the world of experience is ruled by karma. Meaning it is the fruit of past thought, word, and action. Past thought, speech, and action. When one sees this, one will quickly strive to regain control of the tongue. Because you see, it's far more powerful than you know. things we say. And the things we do, far more powerful than we know. Yoga Sutras, I don't know which one. Future misery should be avoided. Means reclaim your tongue and reclaim your action. Align the tongue and action with truth. And at that intersection, you'll also recognize that everybody's doing the best that they can. You have always been doing the best that you can. Lord, forgive me, I knew not what I was doing. That everybody's doing the best that they can. And now it'll be obvious. You lay down the sword of blame. Must do. It's the only practical response to a recognition of this truth. The judge takes off her black robes, puts down his gavel. So, it's inevitable. You might as well endeavor to do it now. It's going to happen. And also this, always this, there is no shame in it. There's never been any shame in it. There's no shame in blindness. There's no shame in confusion. Don't be ashamed. And don't shame. And don't be shamed. Do you see? Never, ever, once again, ever utter the words, you should be ashamed of yourself. This isn't a license for indulgence. It's the opposite. It's the recognition of righteousness. Like being rightly related to yourself and the world. Righteous. Not self-righteous like the ego likes, but actually righteous.
Can I make a quick observation of something you said that came back around with what we talked about on Wednesday.
Yeah, please, Ali.
So, like, if I want to say the most loving thing and supportive thing I can, in terms of the word shame, I often notice that other people feel or take it on as shame, being shamed, when I thought my intention was loving. So what we talked about on Wednesday was better not to say anything at all because you just don't know how it's going to land. And shame's a tough one when you're interacting with people who carry a lot of shame. I mean, they hear it as shame.
Yes.
So it's just a fine tightrope on that one for me. I feel I end up saying, I didn't say that. This is what I said. I didn't mention you. I just was, or whatever. Yes. Anyway, it's tricky.
It's very tricky. So first things first. The ear that hears, it for a very, very, very long time, it will hear through the filter of shame. If there's shame in the mind of the hearer, the ear will hear neutral things as shaming. The one who has shame in their being, their speech will be imbued with the tongue will carry that shame. This is and has been the great peril of religiosity. The preacher who is experiencing his own shame will shame the, what do you call them? The churchgoers. May be articulating scripture word for word, but the energy it carries is shaming. It's his or her own shame that sort of weighs down the words. Scripture in any religious covenant is not shaming. It's something implied by the speaker and inferred by the hearer of and through their own sense of shame, which is a misunderstanding. Shame is an aberration of consciousness. And without being thoroughly investigating, we conflate worthiness with shame. They are not the same. Unworthiness is not shame. But you see, the ego doesn't like to hear unworthy, and so feels ashamed. They're so different. I don't know, we can't go into it now. Maybe some other time, if this is alive for somebody, we can explore. But just to say, here's how it is. There is, in this realm, no such thing as worthiness. It's why we call it mercy, the forgiveness we don't deserve, and grace, the beneficence, the abundance we don't deserve. Mercy and grace imply unworthiness, don't they? So the state of ignorance, of blindness, of avidya is unworthy. But it's okay because there is mercy and grace. Kripa. But it is not shame. Shame is an aberration. Shame only exists in the implication by the ignorant and by the inference of the ignorant. So one who is not ashamed can speak, and one who is ashamed can feel ashamed by the words, like you're saying, Ali. And there's nothing you can do about it. And we can hear with the ear of shame what is not intended, what is not implied as shaming or shameful. Mostly, this is the vast majority of people's relationship with Scripture is around shame. And it is what is intrinsic to it is misunderstanding, is mishearing and misspeaking. Scripture is liberating. It is the transmission of mercy and grace, and it has never once been intended to shame. Its true intent is to free each one of their sense of shame, to expose it as untrue, false. This is a very confusing topic, and the ego will rise up to debate this. The ignorance will not want to hear this truth, and will point to so many pitfalls in this. But I say, shame is the seed of wrong thinking, wrong speech, and wrong action. And without shame, none of it is necessary. Without shame, there is innocence and goodness. Shame is the seed of all wrong thought, wrong speech, and wrong action. The one who is shameless has no need for any of it. There's no temptation in it. But on a practical level, how to communicate? And we've been saying a lot lately that the silence of the one who is at least proportionally unashamed is more powerful than any words exchanged. So it's always a good option. Keep quiet. And then, as we've said before, the words carried by that silence, by that non-judgmental, loving silence, also can have a very healing and powerful, healing effect. So even if you're speaking, keep quiet. And the scripture isn't new. You're hearing it differently, with a different ear, increasingly open to hear. there's so much of you you don't yet know. Even within your own sense of body, in the space that you call internal, inside of your skin, there's a vastness to you that you don't yet know. And as this opens up, hearing opens up, seeing opens up, like this. Oh, I think we must be over. Yeah.
3 minutes.
Okay. Om Om Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all the beings and all the worlds be happy. Happy, happy. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you. Love you immensely, immensely.